Have you ever witnessed somebody act like a total beehole at a wedding? Adam and Allison, Y101. I will admit that, if I go to a wedding, first of all, it better be open bar. Second of all, I'm going to act like an idiot. That's just going to happen.
Like, I don't feel like you get to request both, like, hey, you have to have an open bar, but also that's going to cause me to act a fool at your wedding.
I found a list of the most common etiquette mistakes that guests make at weddings.
Oh.
And these aren't, any of them, none of them are like that bad. I want to hear like the ultimate bad stuff that went down at either your wedding, maybe you did it at somebody else's wedding. 601-995-1017. Number one thing, not following the dress code. That's an etiquette mistake that people would make at a wedding.
That one is like, I feel like that's outdated. Who really cares?
Well, but if you send out like a black tie only invitation and you show up, no tux, no black tie attire, is that bad etiquette?
Who could possibly afford a black tie affair wedding these days? I mean, I guess if you're richy, fancy pants enough for that, then yeah, you could be like, you guys all got to abide. I don't know.
I can't imagine bringing an uninvited guest to a wedding, but that's the second most common etiquette mistake made at weddings.
Oh, yeah. Well, but I feel like that happens where it's like sometimes you don't want their plus one to come, but they bring their plus one anyways.
How about this one? Taking the rentals.
What? The rentals?
Yeah, like if you help yourself to some linens or something.
Oh, don't do that.
And also on the list of common etiquette mistakes made at weddings, taking the microphone at the reception. And Mary, I understand that happened at your wedding. Who got the microphone that wasn't supposed to?
My wonderful, loving cousin.
What?
Mandy. I can say her name because she doesn't live here.
So what did Mandy do whenever she grabbed the microphone at your wedding?
Goodness gracious. Well, it was the reception. It was time for toast, and she was one of our bridesmaids. And when she reached for the microphone, I kind of cringed, to be honest with you. I was like, what is she going to say?
Yeah.
So then here we go. She's going through her little spiel, and all of a sudden she says, my club hopping cousin.
No.
I said, oh, dear God. And at that point, I was like, someone, please get the microphone. I had no idea what was going to come out next. I was like, Lord, why did you say that? Oh, the reception's over. Everyone go home.
That's it. Mary, thank you so much for the call. And if you ever want to go club hopping, just let me know.
I'll call you up. All right.
All right. Thanks, Mary. Talk to you later. 601-995-1017.
I'm getting called out on the text line. Somebody says, Allison, you are not invited to my wedding if you're not going to follow the dress code, sister. It's usually an easy to follow dress code. Most of them are simple colors. Listen, if you tell me to dress in the colors of your wedding, I'm not coming. Like, that's too much. Ask me to be a bridesmaid if you want that level of commitment. Like, I'm not saying I'm going to show up in Daisy Dukes when it's like, obviously I need to be wearing a dress or maybe a nice suit or something like that. Like, I'll wear what's appropriate for the occasion, but don't ever tell me, like, it's a pink and white. Those are your colors. No, I'm going to show up in blue.
That's do people do that? Like,
yes.
on their invites? Even for the guys?
Yeah, there are sometimes like themes that you have to follow, and it's like you've got to dress according to like the only colors you can wear are gold, black, and white, and you need to have sparkles or something. Like it's a whole level. Like I'm not going to follow that. I'm sorry.
Etiquette mistakes people make at weddings. These are like the most common ones. One that I didn't mention just a second ago was switching seats or switching meals. Like you ordered the beef and then the chicken looked real good, and you were like, "Oh, I'd rather have that."
I mean, if you're like trading, I think it's fine, but I could see where it would be a problem. Like, obviously, they order so much of this and so much of that. You don't just get to up and decide you want something different.
So we wanted to hear the most out-of-pocket behavior that you've witnessed at a wedding, whether or not it was your own behavior, somebody else's. That doesn't really matter, but we want to hear all the best stories. 601-995-1017. And right at 7 o'clock this morning, our boy Jesse texted us and said, I have a story for you. Thank goodness you called, Jesse. What did you do at a wedding?
Mine was more pre-wedding. So I was a groomsman in a wedding, and one of my buddies thought, high school friends, that he was, Mr. It. He was tough as nails and all this, and I became a cop, and, he used to wrestle a lot. He goes, you think you can whoop me now, don't you, Mr. Cop? I was like, I know I can. So we got to wrestling real good, and I handcuffed myself to him, and we didn't have a key. And this is about 20 minutes before the wedding started. We're in tuxes, handcuffed to each other.
Oh, no.
No key, no nothing. Nobody knew a cop, so we're riding to the church, had to flag a cop down. He had to run our background checks to make sure we weren't escaped felons, but we were handcuffed to each other for about an hour.
That is the greatest, Jesse. So awesome.
I won the wrestling fight, by the way.
Good. I'm glad you won the wrestling match.
It was worth it.
We were wrestling real good. I love that, Jesse. Thank you for the call. Christy, was it you who was misbehaving at a wedding?
It was, but I was the bride.
Oh, no, you misbehaved at your own wedding? Which groomsmen did you hang out with in a bathroom?
Oh, not like that. But I will say we are divorced now, so it was my first wedding. But I had drank just a little too much, and at the reception, I apparently decided to toast ourselves, but I was saying it like as if I was third person to the bride and groom, but I was the bride. And it was my maid of honor that like shut me down. I was like, wait, I'm giving a toast. She's like, stop.
She's like ripping the microphone out of your hand. Like, trust me, this is not what you want.
She was like, I can't believe you just did that. And I was like, but I just kept yelling to the bride and groom, and I don't remember a whole lot of it. But I also learned that if I ever do that again, there will be no partaking of drinking for me.
I was just going to ask if your second wedding was a dry wedding.
I haven't had it yet. So.
Oh, well, this is perfect timing. I got a question to ask you. Thanks for the call, Christy. We appreciate you. That's a great story. Does it count if you do it after the wedding, like back at the hotel?
Of course, it all counts.
Right after I turned 21. So I was like a fresh 21 at this point, and I went to one of my cousin's weddings. Had a great reception. It was a great time. Gin and tonics were flowing. And then we get back to the hotel to like continue the party and everything. But this hotel's bar shut down at like some ungodly time, like 11 p.m.
Yeah, totally normal time for a typical hotel bar.
And we were out of beer in like the family room that we had. So I decided to start limboing behind the bar. And taking the beers. I remember I was walking from the bar to like the family reception area that we had, and I had like an armful of warm beers that I had just stolen from behind the bar, and my dad comes around the corner and he's like, absolutely not. No, absolutely not. Then I turned around to go put them back, and he's like, well, no, don't put them back. Like, I mean, you have them now.
I feel like there's probably a picture of you at this hotel that's like, look out for this nuisance.
How funny would that be? It was in Atlanta, so if you see my picture at a hotel bar in Atlanta,